Aiy-yu-kwee, now I'm Alita, and this is my channel, The Midnight Librarian. And today I will be talking about my review of Darcie Little Badger's Elatsoe, illustrated by Rovina Kai. Before my review, I would like to say a huge thank you to Levine Querido. I apologize if I said that wrong, I'm sure I did, for sending me the advanced reader's copy. And from what I've heard, they have been doing great things in making sure that this book was sent to Indigenous reviewers. So thank you so much for sending me this copy. I'd also like to mention that Elatsoe is owned voices for Lipan Apache as well as asexuality. Do not consider this an owned voices review, as I am not a Lipan Apache. I am Yurok. Indigenous peoples are not monolithic. However, there are some things in here that Indigenous peoples may understand more than non-Indigenous. Otherwise, I also don't identify as asexual. So Elatsoe is a young adult speculative fiction mystery of sorts. I want to say urban fantasy and paranormal, but that doesn't, to me, that almost doesn't click quite right. Elatsoe follows Ellie. She's a 17-year-old Lipan Apache asexual female who can raise the ghosts of dead animals. This is a skill that this is a power that she has learned through generations of her people, of her family. This particular power is unique to her family line in the Lipan Apache culture. However, it is not ununique in this world. It is not, how do I say? This world is very much like our own, but all the cultural lores of the world exist. So there's vampires, there are fairies, they are very much real, and they have had an effect on Ellie's world. One day Ellie has a dream of her cousin who has been murdered. He tells her in the dream who murdered her and that he needs her to protect his family so they don't get hurt, as well as to avenge his death. So with the help of her family and friends, they travel to her cousin's home in southern Texas to protect his family, to offer their offer their help and support, as well as to figure out why and how this murderer killed her cousin. As Ellie is figuring this out, she finds that the town that this murderer lives in, there's something wrong with it. Something's not right. It's not, the puzzle pieces aren't fitting together. There are secrets that are being hidden. There is deceit that's being done, and Ellie wants to expose that. This America is very, very similar to our own, and that it still has the same history. It's just that there's magic now. So at one point it's talked about that the prairies used to have these dangerous creatures that roamed and people would disappear. Those creatures are slowly disappearing now that the prairies are being turned into farms and ranches, and as settler colonialism has impacted it, as have the creatures from their land. So rather than the indigenous creatures that used to roam the prairie, now it's these creatures that sulk in farms and ranches. So that in itself, I think, is really interesting. There's also, I feel like Darcie also has a unique way of talking about heavier topics like grief, death of a family member and friend, as well as colonialism. She does this in a way where it doesn't feel so heavy, if that makes sense. The characters in here are very supportive of one another. They talk very supportively to one another. This book in itself is very light, but it talks on topics that I feel like aren't being missed. So with a lot of young adult and middle grade, I feel almost a lack of information, that I wanted more, that I wanted the authors to push their information further. With Darcie, I feel like this is perfect. I wasn't sure what conversations were going to be brought up in this book, but when they did get brought up, it was just a yes moment, like, thank you. And she did it so well, and so badass. It was a badass way to do it. There were a couple of things that were, like I said, the settler colonialism aspects of this and how it affected the indigenous aspects of this book, of the magic systems and the lore and the cultures, how they interacted was so fantastic. It very much would, I feel like, be, if we had that here, how it would have been. For Ellie herself, she was a great, strong protagonist. I absolutely loved it, but not in a way that was overbearing. Ellie wasn't a character to try to prove herself just to prove herself, in spite of everybody else. She very much relied on her family and friends. She had no problem telling them how she felt and what she thought. And I thought that was really great. It was a great aspect of this book, and it was refreshing. There were times, for some reason, I can't pinpoint why, because I did not read the synopsis before going into this book. I wasn't entirely sure what it was about. And as I went into it, for some reason in my mind, it read as a middle grade. I'm not entirely sure if it's because of the illustrations, because they're not bad by any means. Rovina Kai does an amazing job illustrating. However, I don't know if it's because each chapter heading has its own illustration, which are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I'm wondering if that had influenced me in thinking that this book was a middle grade. It wasn't until, but even some of the ways Ellie acted and talked made me think middle grade, until there was other aspects of it that reminded me, oh, she's 17, or oh no, this is for young adult readers. So that to me was a little conflicting, but I love the book enough to let it slide, in all honesty. But Ellie herself was fantastic. Like I said, she wasn't out to prove anything aside from getting vengeance for her cousin, and not a vengeance in a way that meant she was gonna go kill someone. It was very much justice. The side characters in this, I feel like there was 3 main supporting characters. I feel like a lot of them are. There is a great aspect of support when it comes to some of the heavier topics, as well as comedy, of a sort of comedy distraction. Not to the point where it's someone says something heavy and then it's someone does something funny just to not have to talk about it, but in a way that's okay, we had this discussion where there was just lighter element. It was an equal balance. This book was very well balanced, and that's the I think perfect term for this, in my opinion, was that there was just a good balance in here. The 3 main supporting characters didn't go one way or the other when it came to trying to push Ellie into rebellion or pull her into safety. It was a very good I'll step with you into this little rebellious moment to help you figure it out. And it wasn't just to be rebellious, it was just to honestly figure stuff out. And when she was going too far with something, he would definitely try to reel her back in. It was definitely a good balance of it was them trying to figure out their comfortability with things. Ellie's relationship with her parents, I feel with a lot of young adult, we don't see the parents, or they're just bad parents, and that they either completely disregard their child's opinion whatsoever, or to the point where they just might as well not be there. Ellie's relationship with her parents was great. Like I said, she talked to them when she had when she had her dream. She talked to them, and they agreed that we need to do this. However, they have acted like parents, and that, okay, we'll help you do this, but let's let the police figure it out first, and if they don't, then we'll step in. And even then, when they were helping her, it was Ellie's mom definitely kind of took the role of just stepping in beside Ellie and going, I will help you with this, but we're doing it my way because I'm the mother and I know best. And she's also trying to protect her from not only what's going on, but at least power. So that in itself was really interesting. The power in itself too was like so complex and unique. All these characters were their own individual characters. As we start getting into some of the other side characters, we lose that a little bit, which is to be expected. It wasn't overwhelming in any way. That is my thoughts for Elatsoe. I hope that this has encouraged you to pick it up. Otherwise, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you've read this book, I want to hear your thoughts. Please leave it in the description below. No spoilers. I've read it, but I don't want to spoil anybody else, and this is a no spoilery review. If you want to talk further with me about it, please, I am on other social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and I'll leave those, of course, linked down in the description below. If you're not subscribed to me, what are you doing? Subscribe, and hit the little bell icon to get notifications of more content when I post them. Otherwise, I have updated links down below to fight social injustice as well as equal rights for COVID prevention. Please educate, share, support. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video. Chew!